different market, but we are live.
Yes, absolutely.
So, hey, out there in spray wash land, Ray is trying to. I think he's out running around trying to find his another charger because his computer was getting ready to die out on him. And anyhow, we got Jeremy Brook with us this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about. It's not just about pricing because we talk about pricing seems like all the time, and but it's something that we had a discussion the other day. We're talking about something. Well, I guess it's been almost 2 weeks now, but man, pricing is something we can talk about all the time. But Jeremy, one of the things that you said and that we've been saying for a very, very long time was that, when we look at this and we talk about, the cheap pricing and all that, and everybody always says what? Well, I'm the best. I'm the best. Well, how can you be the best if you're the cheapest, right? How can you be the cheapest if you're the best? It doesn't work that way, right?
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
And you can't. I mean, it's that video clip I sent you. They think of the absurdity of the best cardiologists saying that they're the cheapest, but yet they're the best. It's like psychologically, you couldn't convince yourself or anybody else that they were the best because psychologically, your mind immediately says there's no way they could be the best because they're the cheapest. You can't.
Right.
It's like the other thing too of like is if I had a Bentley and I put it on Facebook Marketplace and let's say I sold it for $1,500, what would your first reaction be? What's wrong with
That's
it?
a pile
What's
of
wrong with
crap,
it?
rust bucket. Just
Yeah, what's wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's your natural response.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't help but feel that way. Did you get
You know,
your thing figured out there, Ray?
Yes, got it all figured out. So, I always, and hey, Jeremy, so good to see you, buddy. Just love you to death, man. Thank you for coming on. I always go back to that, you can have, there's three kind of jobs. You can have any two, the fast, cheap, and good. You can have a fast job cheap, but it won't be good. You can have a good job fast, but it won't be cheap. And then what's the final one? You can have a good job cheap, but it won't be fast.
Right.
Pick your favorite two,
Right.
And there is that, and it's something that we go over all the time, and it is something where we just had this discussion online. I think just the other day where somebody, I think he had put up, and I don't remember who it was or any of that, but he had put up something saying that, man, he just wasn't getting any work. He'd been putting out all kinds of flyers, whatever, and he hadn't had a job in over like 2 months or something like that. And he was really cheap in his price from what I saw. And so my very first reaction was, well, maybe you need to be going up in your price, not down, because depending on what area you're in, people associate sometimes price with quality. And if you're in an area that's demanding quality and your price is too cheap, they're not going to hire you because your price is too cheap. And you got to get that through the psyche sometimes. And it's hard for people to understand and hard for people to grasp.
There was just a post the other day about somebody who had his trucks wrapped, and he has either two or three wrapped trucks on the road, and he was just talking about, oh my gosh, I can't believe how this investment is paid off, and just getting calls like crazy, and yeah, I mean, I like what Jeremy said there earlier. It's you never see a cardiologist say, hey, we have the cheapest prices in town, heart surgery, $199.
Yeah. And if you do, you're in for it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to send my Uncle Billy that one.
Yeah.
He's got a good insurance policy, and I'm a beneficiary.
I mean, appearances are so much in this business. I can't, honestly say enough.
So he messed with his cord and he died off. See how he is. He knows that he's got an issue there with his deal. He'll be back on in a second. So let me ask you this, Jeremy. One of the things that we were talking about when we were talking about this was about, we can lie to ourselves, right?
Yes.
And so what's your thoughts on people lying to themselves, and what would you see as somebody lying to themselves?
Man, good. That's a great question. I think there's different layers to it,
Mhm.
but I mean, come on, let's just be honest, right? Facebook, like we look at Facebook, and I think I'll say this, and I because I've seen it in myself, and maybe you've seen it, in your journey when you
Mhm.
were a business owner, that the two biggest things that contractors do is they mistake being busy for being
Mhm.
profitable, right?
Right.
The other one is they mistake growing for being
Exactly.
profitable.
I'm
And
growing so big, I must be making money.
right. I mean, I'm not afraid to say that I grew 89% last year, right? But
Mhm.
I still about broke even in profit. Isn't
And
that
that's
crazy?
horrible.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it's like
But at least you know, and now you can fix it. So
right.
why do you feel like you grew 89% and didn't make any money?
I just think that we're just kind of rapidly growing. I think there's different stages of business, and I
Mhm.
think that where I'm trying to go with my goal, I'm just putting out a lot more than I'm bringing in to grow,
Right.
to create automation, to get systems in place and things like that. So, yeah, that's just you know, but to add to that too is looking at your pricing structure too and saying, okay, well, I grew this much this year or last year, but maybe I need to kind of consider raising my prices, or maybe even sometimes you have to take out services because you
Mhm.
realize it's not as profitable as you thought it was.
It's one of the things that I did with my business where you sit back and you look and you're like, man, I didn't really get much money this year. Didn't really bring in that much money this year. You look at the end dollar figures and you're at, $700,000 and you're like, yeah, I did. One of the things about that, we can't just associate our what's in our bank account with that either. And what I mean by that is simply that, I continuously reinvested, just like you were saying, you continuously reinvest. And so, although I got all this money coming in, and like you're saying, I got all this money going out, and it's not wasted money. It's new trucks, it's employees, it's new equipment, it's new this, it's new that, and getting all those things in place so that you can have all of that stuff. And once everything's paid off and done, and all you got, then you just see your profits all of a sudden just seems like they're just flowing in, when it's the same thing you were making before, just that you now have you get to reduce your expenditures because you've already made those investments.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Christopher says, I used to think it's crazy that we charge 10 times more to clean a property than mow it. But with experience, you realize it takes 4 times as much time, 4 times as much overhead, and 40 times more liability. Absolutely. And once you come to those realities, you can help focus yourself in and zero in on what do you have to know, Jeremy?
You got to know your numbers, man.
Got to know your numbers,
You got to know them.
right? And
You know,
knowing your
Brandon,
numbers is what's going to help you get to an understanding of whether or not you're even being profitable.
Brandon Vaughn one time said that a P&L is a universal language. You could go to a different country and they could read your P&L about your business, right? I mean, it's so vital, and it's so necessary because the numbers are going to give you direction of what you need to change, where you need to go, and you got to have a goal in mind as well. So I'm trying to reach 1 million this year, and so we've been growing so fast and so rapidly. That's why I'm not seeing the profit, because typically I've heard, now correct me if I'm wrong because you've been in business longer than me, but when you're at that stage, when you're trying to get to that higher stage, you don't seem that profitable until you get to maybe that higher
Mhm.
end, and then you just kind of start seeing a little bit of that profits coming, that where you want to be, what your goal is to be at least.
Yeah. Well, you have to keep in mind. So, at almost every hump in the chain, right? So when you very first start and you make 25 grand, and when you get to that 75 grand, or you get to that 100 grand, or that 150 grand, at every point that you move up, it seems like there's that little hiccup. It's just like in the old days when I'm older, so I used to have hot rods when I was younger and banging 4 gears, right? They didn't have 10 gears like my truck does now, right? And you'd have a manual transmission. And I like to view it like the manual transmission. You're in first gear, man. Bah, you hit the gas, and you take off and you're flying, right? And then when you go to shift to second gear, you get that lag until you hit that gear and you pop the clutch and then it takes off again. And the same thing when you hit third gear, and it's that constant back and forth until you get all the way to the final gear and you're flying. That's how I like to look at the business side of it, okay? Because at every hiccup, and I think 500,000 is one of those ones where you get to that 500,000 range and you're like, okay, I really need another truck. I really need to do this. And now you've got to take expenses and put all these things and move things forward. And then you got guys quit on you. And I'll tell you, I'll even take it this way. Today, I talked with somebody about they want to get off the truck. But I can't get off the truck because I got to go do this and I got to go do that and I got to go do that and I got to go do this. And it's somebody that watches this show, so I'm not picking on you. But, at some point you have to get off the truck. Okay. And you're saying you've got to do all these things, but you don't have to do them. You're forcing yourself to do them. And that's what's keeping you on the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Ray knows that you get to that certain point, in revenue where you're trying to get to that $1 million, 1.2. So you're in that 600,000 range and you're just bleeding money out. And then, like you said, you're constantly recruiting, right? Like you're scaling, you're trying to keep a system, like always bringing guys in to have like a pipeline to have guys ready, because you never know if someone's going to quit. And you need more trucks. And then you realize, oh, I just bought this truck, but my lead flow is down, so I can't even keep this new truck busy that I just bought. It's just like,
and it's a constant. I was telling somebody that had come in the store. He was like, man, I don't see how you keep these guys. I have a problem keeping 2 guys busy in the fall, and I'm like, I understand. We had a huge problem keeping 6 guys. 7 guys busy in the around Christmas time, January, February as well. And part of that was, the way we combated that was to go after very diverse, customers where we had some education in there. And we knew that some of our colleges were always good for a gig, around that Christmas to New Year's area along in there before the next semester started. And there were lots of days in February, which was traditionally our slowest month, where we were off by 2 and 3 o'clock and not out there working till 6 and 7. And it's part of it, You're talking about going from that $500,000 to $600,000 to the next level. We fought real hard with this, and around that 2019 level, 2019 time frame, we were looking and going, okay, we've got 3 trucks full time, and do we want to take that? And so we're bumping heads up against $1 million. Depending on what fiscal year, when you did a fiscal year, it may be $1,050,000 or something, and and then it may also be $950,000, just depending on where the fiscal year came in and out at. But with me going as hard as I could, with Tanya going as hard as she could, with the office manager going as hard as she could, we realized that an additional truck would actually, we'd get no profit from that, because that would cause another non-income generating person. That was going to generate either a shop steward or somebody to go out and do the infield follow-ups. But I couldn't manage 4 to 5 trucks worth of that. I could manage 3 trucks of that, but I couldn't manage that. So the additional $250,000 in revenue that truck would have brought in would literally have been sucked up. Now, truck number 6 would have been very profitable.
Right.
And that's a hard nut to swallow sometimes whenever you start looking at these numbers on there and going, you really have to go, where's my money going here?
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to know your numbers, like you're saying, and also to have that goal, because you already know, okay, if I'm at 3 trucks and this is my happy spot, okay, now if I go to 4 trucks, I have to have somebody in the shop because I can't physically keep up. I barely keep up with three trucks as it is, right? So now you bring on that 4th truck, you know it's not going to be that profitable. So you have to be looking, okay, I have to get to 5 trucks.
Yeah.
Or I have to get to 6 trucks in order to bring that profit level back up. So if you don't want to hit that point, then you shouldn't grow to that point. Maybe you should just consider, raising your prices. That's one of the things that I talked with the other person today is that, if you're at that point where you don't want to do that, you don't want to grow past that, then maybe it's time to just raise your prices, work less, but make more.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ray was an exception that, Ray was able to just do so much multitasking when he was with Spray Wash and go on different job sites and even do jobs himself. But I guess if your goal, like for me personally, would be to try to automate this business as much as I can so I don't have to be in the day-to-day. So it's a constant battle, like Ray was saying, of putting people in place where they're non-producing roles like a shop manager or an ops manager, but yet to offset it with more production to even pay that guy's salary. So it's like this constant teeter-totter kind of like, where's all my money going? But I need this, but I need that,
Can I tell you on that side of it, this is something that both of you have used the term today, and I even used it, but following up with what you guys said, but it's something that I don't actually believe in. And it actually changed the way my business moved forward. And that is, I looked at office staff as non-income producing staff, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's the wrong way to look at them. They are income producing. They should be income producing. Now, the way we traditionally look at income producing is the guy out there doing the physical work. They're creating the income, right? But think about this. The person that's answering the phone, you're losing work by not answering the phone. Okay. Yeah. You're losing work by not knowing your numbers and knowing that, okay, yes, I can buy that new machine, or I should buy that new machine, or like Ray's saying, I shouldn't move on to that next truck. Right. Well, so those people that help you know all that information and do that, they are in a way income producing.
Yes.
And I agree, Doug. And that was a joke that Tanya, and I used to have together where she would say, okay, they're already pre-sold. Go take an order taker. And she would, talk. It was like literally all you have to do is show up. I've already sold them over the phone. So
yeah,
and that's very true though. So the person who is answering your phone, they may not be income producing, but boy, they're sure teeing it up with a soft pitch for income to be. Yep. And really everybody is somehow income producing, but it is, and you really have to look at that at your business. And I stand corrected by saying non-income producing. However, at the same time, I will defend the original statement of that, if everybody's out there in support roles and not actually doing something to get the job done, then technically they're income producing,
It is a big, it's a big wheel with all the different cogs on it, and you have to have all of them. And
because they have the most beautiful experience in the world with your technicians, but if your follow-up guy calls up with a pissy attitude and grunts at him and says, give me the money, your customer service went from here to
Yep.
We saw that with. Never mind.
Leave that one alone for now. Yeah.
And then same time, if the person who's answering your phone doesn't have a smile in their voice and it sounds like they're bothering you, then hey, guess what? You're never going to have the opportunity to do that.
They're not calling back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a talk, and it's great because I get in the mindset of so many more washers nowadays doing with the power wash story. It's really amazing because I get to see the guys from like literally just starting to the multi-truck to all of this, and I'm getting back to my old teaching days. And we were having this conversation the last day or two about the customer service and what the person's going to find, and the stupid little things like putting the doormats back.
Yes.
And making everything perfect, Like Doug, you've talked about, you didn't wash underneath the furniture. Well, yeah, I did. I just put everything back perfect.
Right.
You never even knew I was there. That kind of thing. And
Yep.
that's what we're selling on, just like the cardiologist. Going full circle. What is it, Jen? What is it the White House secretary says? Coming full circle or whatever, circling back around. We always have there's always a need for quality. There's always a need for customer service. There's always a need for a higher price and a lower price. And so many people have been out there going, "Oh, certifications don't matter." You're right. You're absolutely
right.
If you don't bring them up to anybody's attention, you're right. They don't matter,
Yep.
But if you sit there and say, "Hey, I've taken a plant and property certification course, and I understand about the issues associated with with the hardy board color match thing. I've taken a horticulture class at the Leon County Extension Agency." I mean, I don't mean this to be a commercial for plant and property protection.
No, it's a great course.
But I've taken the PWNA's house washing certification course. I mean, it's whenever because we want to be better than and different from our competition.
Yep.
I mean, we've said it before when we talk about getting a quote on the phone. Hey, I'd like a price for a roof. Well, fantastic. Let me know what's the address and what kind of roof do you have and blah, blah, blah. Well, goodness, I'd love to be out there to go take a look at it. Can I just go by, or would you like me to be there whenever you're home? Well, why can't you give me a price, over the phone? 3 other companies have. Well, gosh,
Bingo, I just won.
I can't give you a price because I don't know what your house is. Well, you can look it up on Google. I'm actually looking at your house right now. This photograph is from 2016. I see in the corner. I don't know if you've painted it with an organic pigment paint. I don't know if you've put some roses in that are real special to you. And for the life of me, I don't understand how anybody can give a price for cleaning a roof over a phone, because it's really a pretty technical job. If they don't go, "Wow, I want to talk to you," at that point, then they're not your customer.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at that point. Exactly. Michael J says, "What I'm telling myself to get off the roof and out of the truck is that my expertise is more valuable to bring in work for everyone maintaining customer relations. I'll be in the AC all day." This is something, again, remember I said I talked to somebody today, and again, I'm not picking on you, but this is one of the things we were talking about. He said he had to bring water to his guys because it was on a well, and I get it, and he knows I get it, and I'm not picking on him, but that driving that truck with water on it is a $20, $15, $20 an hour job, right? When you as the owner should be focusing on 150 to 200 to 250 an hour. That's what you're worth, right? Or that's what you should be worth. So every day that you're doing that one or 1.5 to 2 hours worth of that $18 an hour guy's job, he's paid for already. It's just the problem is we still have problems finding them today.
Yeah. I mean, it's something we had even talked about, and I'm in no position to do this, right now, starting out. But I could see in a year from now actually having a Sprinter van out there where we go and deliver bleach to somebody on a job, and it's going to be, literally a minimum of 50 gallons plus a small delivery charge on there. But what's it worth for me to bring bleach to you to finish that job versus
absolutely
breaking down whenever your guys run out and you having to break down and drive back across town and lose 2 hours of production time on there?
Right.
Because literally every minute they're in the field, it's costing you money.
Yeah. So what have you done, Jeremy, to get yourself off the truck?
Well, I think a lot of it was just creating systems was huge. But just the mindset, you've got to change your mindset from owner operator to actually just being a business owner and thinking like a business owner. And I always tell people this all the time. Ray, I quote Ray all the time when I talk to different contractors. I'm like, guys, they're like, oh well, how do you deal with it? I'm like, listen, guys, the human element will always, 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 always be there. And you kind of have to be willing to, you raise the standard, right, of your company, but at the same time, knowing you're going to get that 85% from those guys. And that's just the reality of it. But
Yeah,
at the same time, those guys will produce more revenue than I ever can by myself.
absolutely.
And I have to be willing to accept that. So it's like, pick your poison, right? What do you want? Do you not want to scale? Eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to break down physically. You can't do it anymore. Or if you want to scale, you got to take the human element with it and learn how to lead people and manage people. And I tell contractors all the time that the two hardest things I think as a business owner that we will never graduate from, learning how to set and manage customer expectations. And the second one is learning how to lead and manage people. All day long, you will never graduate from those courses.
No.
Or you shouldn't.
It change. Those two things are always evolving with the internet. Like let's say 6 years ago, we were dealing with, is bleach bad for my roof? Now we're dealing with, what other alternatives do you have for bleach out there? Because I know that there's alternatives out there. There's so much more information. We would just have to talk people into using bleach, or we would disqualify them as customers. And nowadays it's kind of like they're sometimes educating us. I remember last year seeing products they were bringing up to me and saying, well, what about this product? Okay, well, let me research it. Okay, that might be viable. We could look at doing that to your roof. Honestly, did not know about it. And then also the workforce is another one that is always evolving out there, because so neither one of those you'll ever have a firm grasp of, because it's always going to change. The workers that are out here today are totally different than the labor force that was out there 5 years ago. And I'm sure in another 5 years, they'll be different again,
Yep. The one constant is always change.
Yeah. And Jeremy, like you said, you have to figure out how to scale, because the one great equalizer that all of us face is everybody on this thing tonight, Charlie, Todd, David. There is one thing that we are truly equal in, and that's time. God has given each one of us 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, and that's all we got. So you either find the force majeure, the force multiplier on there to give yourself more than 24 hours in a day, or you're stuck with just 24 hours in a day.
So I'm curious, for everybody out there that's watching, what is when's the best time to advertise? I want to know give me a couple of answers here of when is the best time to advertise. And I got to point to this. And Jeremy, when do you think is the best time to be advertising your business?
Always. Okay. And so what part of that, and this, I want to take this around a little bit. So you're always advertising your business, right? Why? It's like this. I heard Chris Martinez say this recently. I thought it was really good. He said that it's not so much, and this is in relation to, marketing and things and advertising. It's not so much, I think this is the mistake we make too, right? Is that we want to be seen everywhere, but we neglect being seen consistently right in our own backyard. So it's not so much being seen everywhere. It's about being seen all the time. And I just don't think that, and it's, I'm willing to admit it too, that we don't exhaust our own backyard enough and have that strategy there to really effectively know and collect data to say, okay, is it time to go into it and play in another backyard because I've exhausted this area. I've got my data,
All right. So let me tell you where I'm going with this. Okay. So the best time to advertise is always. Okay. And why is it that you always want to advertise? Because you always want to be trying to move forward and grow your business, right? when is the right time to advertise for employees?
Always.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
We're all complaining about, about not having enough employees, and employees suck, and, employees this and employees that. But most of the time when I ask people, what are you doing as far as advertising? Well, I'm not advertising right now because I can't find nobody. Well, wait a minute. You're not advertising right now because you can't find nobody. I mean, you've got to keep those ads rolling and flowing and going. And
logic right there.
It's the same thing to sell your house wash as to sell your company. You have to stay in front of the employees all the time so that the employees are sitting there going, I've looked at this company like 7 times, and maybe I should go fill out an app, right? Always marketing your company, but you're also always marketing to the potential employees that you could have out there.
I dare say, find the right employee, you make room for them.
Oh, absolutely.
If you don't need them, if you find the right person, you make room for them. And I also, and I know we're all busy, but boy, we ought to all have our business cards ready and have our elevator speech about why, Brooks is the best place in the world to work at. So whenever you meet someone at Wendy's or at Home Depot or at anywhere you go and you have a positive customer service experience, you whip out that card and say, I don't know if I've ever considered making a change here, but I love your attitude. It's downright infectious. I appreciate what good care you've taken of me. If I can ever help you with, a job, feel free to give me a call.
I want to expand on that, but first I want to say, hey, Nick, g'day, mate.
G'day, mate.
G'day, mate. Look, so, just like you would with a customer, do it with this guy, right? Just like Ray's saying, you're there and you're getting great customer service, and you say to him, hey, I think you did great. If you're ever thinking about a change, give us a holler. And you can even have your manager give me a call, and I'll tell him how good you were. Okay, because now you're really pumping his chest, right? Or her chest, whatever the case may be, and they understand. Wow, this guy really does see my value. He's willing to tell my manager, right? He's not just offering me a job. He's willing to tell my manager how good I am and how valuable I am. And now I contact my manager, and my manager doesn't want to give me that $17 an hour raise that I deserve. Maybe I will go check this guy out for $2 less an hour.
Yeah, we made rock star cards. So basically we have cards that says, hey, we think you're a rock star. And it's like basically like, do you want to change the scenery? It's got our link on our website to apply. Say, hey, just like Ray was saying, hey, I really appreciate your great attitude. Just you're thinking about, doing something different, changing careers, look me up, give me a call, be a hunter.
And if you have business cards, you should have Rockstar cards as well. You hand them both out. Ray, so tell me what Mark is talking about. What is Mark talking about?
All right. So what Mark's talking about is we're having our first event this Friday. So that is Friday the 13th. What could go wrong? Mark Giuliano and Clint Reynolds in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing Deco is doing a paver sealing class at Power Wash Door, Tallahassee. We'll have, donuts and coffee kickoff 8:30 or so. Love to see y'all there. And then we'll wrap up at 2. Tanya and I will be getting lunch for the masses. Probably get a food truck in the parking lot or something like that. But looking forward to doing this event. We'll be going over the ins and outs, proper way to clean and sand and apply, and then what Deco products can do to help you increase your profit base.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Jeremy, do you do any paper sealing?
Yeah, tons of it. Yeah.
He's in South Florida. He's got to do it.
Central.
Yeah, Central. Yeah.
Central.
Same thing.
Well,
I know you Louisianians think that all Florida is just like citrus trees and Disney.
It is. Well, citrus seasons and sand. I mean, that's it, right? That's all it is. Citrus trees and sand.
I am so proud of the guys from Louisiana. Did y'all see that on about the Garth Brooks concert in Baton Rouge the other night? And he's got a famous song called "Calling Baton Rouge."
Mm-hmm.
It literally, whenever he played that, and his lead guitarist is from Shreveport. Whenever he announced that song, it registered as an earthquake in Tiger Stadium. That's pretty freaking loud.
That's pretty freaking loud. Yeah, exactly. We can get loud down here. That's for true.
Mm-hmm.
Your business have external and internal clients. That's a fact.
Yep, absolutely.
Jeremy is a good dude, says Mark Tiliano.
Mark Tiliano.
There you go. And then Jacob is popping him and said, "Did you say donuts in a food truck?" Oh, man, I'm all in. I want to see what Todd's got to say here. He's got a long one. I do advertise for employees constantly, and I do get a good amount of response, but these potential employees won't even show up for an interview. That's a fact. I know I really don't want those kind of employees anyways, and they won't even show up for the interview, but what else can be done? Got an answer for you. I have even handed out cards and to Home Depot to people I think would be great, but to no avail. This is why I have a process. You should have a process that they have to jump through, and it is not an end-all be-all by any stretch of the imagination, Todd. I've got a bunch of hoops that you have to get through just to get to the interview. But one of the things I started to do is I started to schedule my interviews between, say, 5 and 6 a.m. when I am at the shop and I'm doing things at the shop, because I had such a high no-show rate that I got tired of being there waiting for them. No. If you want, you come when I'm there. And that didn't necessarily cut down on the people that didn't show up, but it cut down on a waste of my time. And it's also why I think we're saying to always be advertising, because look, you're going to get those people. They're not going to show up, right? And when they don't show up, you don't sweat it, because if you do, it's a continuous cycle. It doesn't end. You just wait for the next one to show up, or you're there doing your job and they have to show up when you're there or not. Doesn't matter. Got to always be advertising it, though.
Always.
And
it has to be a system in your business, and it has to be part of your budget. Just do it.
I remember Brandon Vaughn talking something about his interview process, and was, he had a multi-part interview process where just, you had to jump through some hoops to do that. And I don't remember all of what it was, but that's one of the things. And that's where I say, you go out and you snipe and you steal the employees.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, anybody that doesn't have a job right now in this 3% unemployment rate, place that we're in, they don't want a job right now.
Yeah.
They're honestly probably just filling it out to continue to collect unemployment. And trust me, there's anybody that's listening to this, I talk to 10 to 20 guys a week that are all saying the exact same thing, that walk into the store. This is not a isolated incident one bit here.
It's all over the country, everywhere.
No, and it is. And yes, and it's absolutely, it's not just in Florida, it's everywhere. It's up north. I've read a couple of articles on it recently. So that's why I'm saying, don't feel bad about going out and sniping other companies. Don't feel bad about sniping Home Depot, Ace Garden Center. What a great place to get an employee. I mean, somebody that works outside, already, and they already get wet.
Little stop and go gas station, whatever it is.
I mean, this is a place that anybody that gives you a positive customer service experience, boy, jump on them. And there's lots of us in these companies where we can pay a decent salary. I mean, we can really pay good money to guys. I mean, I'm shocked at what some of the companies are paying out there and what some of the techs are making. But, I've seen techs lead techs, but making $85,000 to $120,000 a year. That's good. You know, I wish I'd have been making $85,000 to $100,000 a year for
as an owner.
3 years.
Yeah, seriously.
You know.
So real quick, RPC is asking, what part of Florida are you in?
Who's asking, Ray or me?
No, RPC pressure cleaning.
No, is he asking me or Ray?
He's asking you, I think.
Oh, I'm outside of Tampa, so like West Central.
And Ray is in Tallahassee, if that was the question. No, but it's for you, Jeremy. So the next one here, JR is asking, how do you guys feel about hiring family, immediate and extended? And to me, I'll start that off being that can be a very double-edged sword. However, I ended up hiring my brother-in-law, and I had real heartburn over that. But I knew one thing: the guy worked hard, and I said, "Sure, let me give it a shot." And I talked to him ahead of time, and I said, this has got to be a business, and you got to understand that. And if I end up canning you, it's just the way it is. And I'll tell you what, he turned out to be the greatest I have ever had. He's running Cajun Soft Wash right now, as far as Matt, the owner, is still running Cajun Soft Wash, but now he's taken over the running of Cajun Soft Wash. So, and loyal and long. Now, I've also had employees that work with me, and I've seen family dynamics that are just horrible. So I think it's just important. I think it can be a good thing. Most of the times I think it's a bad thing, but I think you have to have clear set expectations. And I would even go so far as to say, create a contract that stipulates and outlines where things are going. Because one of the things that happens, even with employees that aren't family, you said when you hired me that I was going to do this or be that in 6 months. And where is it? But that may not be what was said or how it was said or why it was said.
I tell you what, we actually had about 3 years ago, we had a office manager we hired, and it was absolutely crazy. She had a 90-day probation period. Mm-hmm. And Tanya and I mean, we were high-fiving going, oh, my God, we have gotten like the second coming of Jesus Christ. She was perfect. She was amazing. She was just everything you wanted out of an employee. And on the 91st day, it was literally like it was like a 180-degree change, and Satan had come to work for us. Mm-hmm. And we wound up having to pay this lady, over $5,000 to make her leave. And that's what our attorney recommended, that look, we're going to go in a different direction, but damn sure don't fire her. And part of it was she met 3 different protected classes out there. And in retrospect, and he said, in retrospect, it was really her wanting to get fired and wanting to file suit. Because Doug, I think that's where you were going with this, about having the contract with people, because it was like a night and day. It was so pronounced on there, but and even our attorney said, everything you're telling me sounds like she wants to get fired. She wants to fire you so she can give you like a wrongful termination suit. Mm-hmm. And she was a minority. She was over a certain age, and she was female. So all 3 of those were just really, really scary things to deal with. So we negotiated her exit through our attorney. Kind of scary to do, but yeah.
So how are you guys handling a drug-free workplace? So is pot legal in Florida?
Yes,
it is. So how are you guys handling pot?
Medical marijuana is legal.
Right. Mm-hmm. So how are you guys handling medical marijuana in your workplaces, or how would you handle it?
Great question.
I'd answer that right now.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, here's the problem, that and this is going to be really interesting because a smart lawyer is going to take this suit up, because while it might be legal in Florida, workers' comp is still not legal to still
On
will still
federal
not
level.
cover you if you get injured on with marijuana. Just like if you go out and try to buy a firearm right now with your Florida medical marijuana card, guess what? You're going to get bumped. And it even has started stating that on the application that marijuana may be legal in Florida. It is not legal in, nationally. So
It's not a federally protected thing.
Yep, it's not. And, I always kind of said, and I'm sorry, I'm going to walk around my phone here, but the dog just pushed the door open. I always said that, with my guys with workers' comp, I don't care, look, workers' comp is not there it's there as a stopgap measure. It's a band-aid, or it's a tourniquet almost. It's when something traumatic and horrible has happened, and we're going to try to keep getting you paid. But understand that they're going to drug test you, and they're not going to cover you if you're under any kind of prescription drug that you don't have a prescription for. And if you're on marijuana, and they're not going to cover you for that, whether you're under a doctor's prescription for it or not, because I shouldn't have you on a roof knowing that, you're high and doing that. And they'll either not pay, or they're going to pay one time and tell me I have to fire you. I have to get rid of you. So,
and that's the thing for me. I will flat say that I don't necessarily have a problem with somebody that to me, it's like drinking, right? In one hand, I'd rather see you smoke pot than drink. On the other hand, so it's like, but at the end of the day, okay, if there is an accident and you're tested, and it doesn't matter though, if you've got alcohol or pot in your system, or cocaine or whatever, the end results are going to be the same on some of that. But at least with alcohol, it's gone fairly quickly, and but marijuana can stay in the system for so long that I have to go with a zero tolerance policy. And if you're caught with it, I'm sorry, but you're gone. And whether I agree with that or not, because I can't put my company and what I've built at risk over something that is, something that you want to do. Now, I had one of the guys that hired on with me, and I said, "Are you going to pass a drug test?" And he was completely honest with me, and he said, "Well, I just came back from vacation, and I smoked some while I was on vacation. I don't normally smoke, but I was on vacation." And I said, "Okay, great. So here's how we'll handle that." And I hired him, knowing that he would likely fail the drug screen, but that he had to retake and do another test within 10 days after that. We would wait 10 days. And then I put it in his contract that he had to have 3 random drug screens throughout the next 10 months. I think it might have been the year. So that way it would just be whenever. And I am saying you are not going to do that. You're saying you're not going to do that. But he also had to have it out of his system before he could actually start working for us. He ended up being a good employee for a good long time, actually. Rusty is saying another option is to seek out retired vets. The military has a program, Skill Bridge, for companies to offer to exiting military service. This is the link. There are those out there.
Won't they also pay for part of their salary as well, or do some kind of with that?
There are different programs out there. I don't know the program. So
got the name link at the office. I've got to go look up, and somebody had told me about this, and I haven't had a chance to independently verify. But he said, no, you get like a certain percentage, and I want to say 50% of their salary reimbursed if you get them in this program. So
I had even heard at one point that on some things and some jobs and with some vets, they'll pay 100% of their salary for a period of time.
You know, I know of one right now. Oh, I think you and I may have hit it.
We did.
You know, Todd saying he works with his son-in-law. I know of another scenario right now that where it worked out very horribly. You know, large $1.8 million or so company, and was married in to one of the techs that graduated and worked on, and then married. It was a son-in-law, and now it was a very bitter, bad divorce, and it is not pleasant at all. So, you know, some stuff to consider out there with the family. So, yeah.
And Mark says he passes on all that kind of stuff. He says just pass it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I don't think that's what it means. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's for my glaucoma.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's going to be. Where's what I was saying about the where it's going to make some attorney a lot of money and set some precedent out there, because if I get denied a workers' comp claim for it, but I'm under prescription for it, it's going to be really interesting, because which set of laws are you following out there? You know, I mean, if the doctor said, yes, you need this medicine, and the insurance is saying, no, we're not going to cover you because you were on this medicine.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm surprised, honestly, I'm surprised the lawsuit hasn't come up yet.
I bet Jeremy takes 2 bong rips just to deal with the blue hair drivers.
Yeah, no, I know that we want to, my wife and I talk about it, that we want to just kind of start randomly doing drug tests. You know, I mean, typically I don't in the hiring process, and maybe I should. I mean, I can. Our guys are background check. You know, we work with Ask the Seal. You know,
Right.
but maybe we need to start doing that just to say, hey, here's a random drug test. You know,
something else you do is there's any lab test now, I think, is one. What we used to do was to just we would go and send our employees into any lab test now and do have them pull random screens. We wouldn't, not because of workers' comp or anything, but just to really see, you know, which one of our guys, you know, we could get good drugs from. And no, but to know who we may have a problem with in the future. And it's a lot better. And remember this, if you ever have to send your guys in for that, you can go to one of those places and get a screen that's not reported back to anybody but you, and then figure out how you're going to deal with this. You know, it's like, okay, you hurt your back. Do me a favor. Do me just a little favor. Go buy any lab test now and put my name as employer on there, not the workers' comp, and let's get a talk screen and make sure you're okay. And then we can submit it to workers' comp, because like I said earlier, workers' comp may very well say, okay, take the drug test, you're peeing hot, and now they tell me I have to fire you. And my hands are tied. Literally, I could be the best employee in the world, but because you got a little devil's lettuce in your pee, I got to let it go, you know?
Well, and I want to bring up what Wild West is talking about here. So Wild West is talking about a HIPAA violation, right? So, and if you don't know, there are lots of rules that govern the doctors and nurses, and you know, that's why when a nurse is viewing something, you can't come up and be anywhere near her, because it's a break in the HIPAA violation. It's a HIPAA violation. So anyhow, yes, it is a violation to, I don't think it's a violation for you to ask, by the way. There are a lot of significance there when you're talking employment, but even if it were a violation to ask them about their medical marijuana use, okay, it's not a violation to ask for a drug test. Okay, that's where the difference is here. There are certain questions you can't ask. Like, as an example, I can't say, Jeremy, how much do you weigh? Okay, I can't really ask that question, but I can say, Jeremy, our ladders are only rated for 250 pounds. Do you meet that requirement? You see what I mean? So there are ways that you can ask without violating any of the, you know, people's rights and all that. And if somebody being obese would be a protected class, but I'm sorry, I can't have somebody at 600 pounds and, on my 250-pound ladder kind of a thing.
I think y'all will maybe remember this, but during the transition, boy, what an awkward word.
Yeah, transition, boy.
Yeah, that was an awkward word, but Tanya actually hired us
I remember.
To work with us, and that was very it was a female who identified as a male, and I remember telling Tanya, it's like, well, this is a forever employee, we can never fire this one. But she actually wound up realizing the job was not for her, and she really wanted to be identified as a male, but realized this was some really hard work out there, and she couldn't quite keep up on that. But that was really interesting.
There you go. So the topic that we started on, I think true to our nature, we're completely off base like normal. Yeah. But we are on the subject of yellow boots. So yes. Jeremy, you want to talk about why the yellow boots?
Man, I didn't know how that started. Do you remember exactly? I thought it was maybe one of your earlier days of your plant and property protection class back in the good old UAMCC days, and I think you said something like, "I wear yellow boots to somewhere." I don't know. It was something that came out of that. I don't remember. Like it was some joke or something.
I could see that. Okay, yeah, I could see that. It's been an old thing between Jeremy and I for a long time. I think I'd asked you once before because I didn't remember where it came from, but now I got it. All right. Cristino says, I'm a fandiero. I have employees close to me, and I've always focused on the quality of the product with 100% profit, 100% purchase of inputs, and 100% of sale of cattle for batting.
That might be a euphemism for something, but
there you go. I don't know that one. Yeah, MTH, that would be HIPAA. I didn't think of it.
I thought he was saying hippo because he was talking about me.
No, I think he was, unless I mistook what he was saying, I think he was referring to HIPAA. He said HEPA.
On the right, so.
Yeah. There you go. Anyhow, you seem like a go-getter and are doing great. What do you mean by the cattle for battling? There you go. We are so far off subject. That is so.
So I got a question. I got a question for you guys.
Go for it, Jeremy.
Well, there's people here that were not at the very beginning, but I believe we started out and a couple minutes late with some technical issues, but the image, the prices, we can always sell that higher. You said early on, Jeremy, that you never see a cardiac surgeon going, hey, lowest price cardiac surgery here. I've seen some divorce attorneys saying $199 divorce, but I've never seen something like and you look at the billboard, you're like, yeah, that's a scumbag attorney right there. You automatically know that's a cheese ball. Mm-hmm. Most attorneys are not, doing that. They're advertising low rates. Most doctors aren't advertising low rates. Mm-hmm. And not that we're doctors or attorneys, but
they're actually advertising they're going to get you as much as they can possibly get you.
Right. Yeah. Which one would you want to do? Which attorney would you rather deal with? The one that says, hey, we're dirt cheap, or the one that are saying, we're going to make you rich? You're going to have, I'm going to go for the one that's going to try to get me as much as possible. Not the, not the cheap one.
Exactly. You're going to ask a question, Jeremy. What you got?
And I think it's an evolving thing, so I don't know if there is an answer to it, but how can we provide more value? We talked about certifications and educating the customer, and the normal response is like, well, you go give a quote and then they're like, well, why are you different? Well, I got this equipment, and I got insurance, and But really, on another level, how can we as contractors or business owners bring so much value that it goes beyond the service? You know what I mean? And I think Ray touched on it a little bit. Like I always tell my guys, do the little things, guys. Do the little things. But I guess there's that mindset, I guess, that of course, every customer is not going to be your customer, but I guess is like how as a whole can we go above to where people don't no longer look at us as a luxury service or it's just pressure washing, right? Because we all come across the people that are just like, well, they think that every company is the same, or they think that all the services across the board cost the same amount. And I'm like, no, you don't understand business. Ray's overhead is different from mine. Mine is different from his. That's why, and we can be similar in pricing because we know our numbers and our overhead, but like, I guess that's kind of what I always kind of ponder, and have been pondering. How can we deliver more value to where these potential customers can see the experience and see that it's not just about pressure washing or paver sealing or whatever.
And somebody, and I'll brag on him for a second, but that guy over you and then there, yeah, him. So, Doug, before he sold, he started doing on this, a lifetime roof guarantee product on there. And then, we can get in relationships with I think one of the things that we don't tell our customers enough is we're not just, I don't want to make a claim like extending the life of a roof, but I don't see how we couldn't be extending the life of a roof if we're knocking, what's the decomposers off the roof and doing that, even though there might not be any data out there. And, most likely this is the single largest, investment that any of us have with our house here. And you're going to keep it in great shape. I mean, I think Doug figured out that way to get in there and talk to people and say, look, we're going to be here every year or every, 8 months and on schedule to really give that value added proposition to it and to lock in that customer for the rest of their lives, Doug, right?
Exactly. So for me, Jeremy, I mean, you have to look at that in two different parts, right? So it depends on how your question is. In other words, is your question pre-sale or post-sale? Because what's that?
No, I'm just
okay.
So good point.
Post-sale, first of all, it's there's nothing you can do post-sale unless you did it during the process, right? So this is where pictures come in, showing that you have given them the extra value. We were talking recently with somebody about washing garbage cans, right? And I said, well, I wash the outside of garbage cans for free. But did I let the customer know that garbage can was cleaned on the outside? Yes, I parked it right where they would see the doggone thing, right? Sprinkling the little smelly stuff on the outside so that they would smell that freshness, right? Doing any little thing I could do that was an extra on the job, but making sure they knew about it. How do I do that? I do that by before and after pictures, right? I send them the before picture of that swing, dirty, nasty, and then I send them the after picture of that swing, nice and clean. Here in Louisiana, we got a lot of birds that like to perch on the mailboxes and poop on them. I get a picture of the before mailbox all pooped on and a picture of it after. That's not something that was talked about during the sale, or it could have been, depending, right? So all these other little things that aren't talked about during the sale or are, I want to make sure that customer knows about that, right? But now let me go back to that whole pre-sale thing, because you've done what a lot of contractors do, right? And the homeowner is asking you, what do you do that's different? What makes you special? Why should I pay you, Jeremy? Why should I pay you more than I'm going to pay that guy Ray over there, right? Okay, so now you have to boil it down. And for me, this is where I think most contractors go wrong. Most contractors, what's the very first word out of their mouth? Well, I'm licensed, I'm insured. What was the last contractor saying? I'm licensed, I'm insured, bio-friendly, eco-friendly, sexy hair. It's all the same pitch and all the same spiel every single time. Stop it. That's what I say. Stop that, right? What you're going to do is you're going to tell that customer, you're going to build that relationship and build that value. And you're going to do it by saying, you know what? Here's the thing. I can get into the whole speech of biodegradable, plant friendly, I got insurance and you know, I can huff and puff my chest and tell you I'm the best, I'm the greatest. Here's the deal. I cannot tell you what Jeremy's company does. I can only tell you what my company does. So let me explain what we do, how we do, and why we do it, and why I think it's important for you to know those things that we do and why they're important. And so now if you've already had an estimate from Jeremy's company, just go back and ask if he's going to take care of this, this, and that. And when your next person comes in that you're interviewing, because I recommend you get 3 bids, including mine, right? But now ask that person if they're going to do this, and that, and get them to the point where they're like, or if they tell you that, no, we don't cover the plants and there's no rain gutters and we're doing a roof mix, and why don't you cover the plants? Ask them those questions and then decide who you want. Do you want us that's going to do that, or do you want this other company that's not going to do it? They may do a great job. Matter of fact, I've heard of Jeremy's company. He does a great job. Quit. Talk good about your competition. Yeah. Don't talk bad about them.
Yeah.
But here's the fact. You don't know what that other company does and what they don't do because you're not following them around day in and day out. You don't know if they're fully insured, right? Unless you happen to have, they could be not insured yesterday and now they're insured. Right? They could be on the news for not having insurance and getting caught, but that doesn't mean they're not insured. They could be insured now, right? So quit that, because that's what and what is that to the customer? That's just another broken freaking record. That's it. Everybody's saying the same damn thing. Say something different.
Well, yeah, and what I would typically do is like, oh my God, Jeremy Brook is out of prison? So a lot of guys cannot be like, you know, heroin addiction and pedophilia conviction, and that's awesome. I'm so happy to see him killing it again. Probably shouldn't use those words because he did kill those anyway.
That trial hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he's fine.
Christina, I'm actually surprised I didn't get that, because this is something I know, the raising the cattle for fattening and slaughter. I know that one. But I didn't catch it when you typed it in the last time. I don't know why. Sorry about that.
That's one of the reasons that whenever we created Spray Wash Academy, and I mean, we've probably got thousands of people running around with Spray Wash Academy stickers on their trucks, their trailers, their shirts, and things like that. It's something we've always made it free for people to use. Because we felt it was important for people to be a part of something, and you could go and whenever you show up with a Spray Wash Academy circle, they're on you, and people even say like, well, what is that? Oh, well, we've attended some classes with them. They're speakers at national shows, and we have some online stuff that we've done with them. Oh, see the plant and property right here, and we actually get people engaged, but I've had customers mention that many times to me, and I've had other guys say, yeah, they wanted to know about my Spray Wash Academy, logo that I had right there. And Doug and I thought it was real important for people to be able to get Absolutely. Out those things, as well as Tanya did. She's part of this too, and yeah,
it's the same thing. Like, I'm not a big proponent of putting all the different things on the jerseys and stuff, your jerseys, but I am like on the sleeves and all that, right? So if you've got, because a lot of guys will have the Spray Wash Academy logo, and then they'll have the F9 logo, and they'll have the EBC, or all these different things. So what that does is that builds awareness throughout the community, right? The more guys in your area that are wearing that and that are doing that, builds the awareness of those. It's not just those products, right? It's your use of those products, and those products become known as good quality products in the industry, right? So I want somebody that's wearing that logo, because they know what they're doing. They've been in, and that's something that helps you guys all together when you're doing a sales pitch and you're mentioning your logos and your patches and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're plant and property certified. This is what it takes to do that. If you guys aren't using that to your advantage, man, I just want to smack you, because that's where the value of it is, right?
I mean,
not in the knowledge of not screwing stuff up, but in selling stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just say this, that if you haven't done the plant and property protection through spray wash, I mean, you're just an idiot. I mean, period. I mean, like, it's just, I mean, it it's going to save you. I'm going to get the course, like I told you. All my guys are going to go through it. I've been waiting for you guys to release it online. It's going to be mandatory.
It's been online for a long time, Jeremy.
Well, I know, but you know what I'm saying. But it's going to be mandatory that all my guys go through it. Mm-hmm. Period. There's no excuse. There's no exception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can't overstate education. I mean, there was somebody online. Was it last week? I thought it was funnier than heck. Matter of fact, Todd was on here, and Todd had posted something really great about the plant and property protection, and they were popping up about why would you spend money to get something you can get off of YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Okay, so yeah, you got to vet who you are and get little bits and pieces, and yeah, what's your time worth? Apparently not much.
So much of the plant and property, and for guys that that don't understand it, and I know you've seen it live, Jeremy. It's we're not just talking about plant and property protection. We wind up talking about the scientific sales of this. I mean, whenever you walk up to someone and you can look them in the eye and they have a stucco house, and you know that it's dry-it or synthetic stucco, and you say to them, that this manufacturer Dry-it, and I'm assuming this is Dry-it because they're the largest manufacturer of synthetic stucco out there. They specifically say that do not wash this house at more than 600 PSI, and you should use a mold or mildew killing solution on here, such as bleach. And you start just rattling off, Hardy Board Color Match Plus. They say this siding is going to oxidize. It literally says it right here in this document that, I'm going to attach to your bid. This is the science of selling and us educating ourselves so we become better contractors and we can attract a better customer. We're now getting a customer that's going to pay us much more than the average guy going, well, I'll wash it. Yeah. I'll never forget. I had a customer and had a long relationship with him. He was getting bids and he told it was a large commercial project. And he said, one of the guys, he's like, well, how do you propose to wash this? And he's like, well, I don't know. How do you want me to wash it? And the guy said, he's talking to me and he said, that's his job to tell me how he's going to wash it. That's his job as a professional to tell me what this is. And I believe that one was a Luca bond out there, but he's like, I don't want to play games with this facility that's a multi-million-dollar facility out here. Play games with guessing games of what's going to work on here, because I know that there is a written way of cleaning this piece of property by the manufacturer. He goes, I knew it. He didn't. He said, but we accepted your bid because you did know it. And you demonstrated that in your meeting with me.
Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised how far that can take you in the different aspects of this industry and this business, unless you're like Nick and you do fleet washing. Nick, that's actually something we need to talk to Steve Hill about, see if we can get a class on fleet washing, because you don't want my class on fleet washing. We'll have to get with him on that. Mm-hmm. So much misinformation online. It's great getting all of the information from one source that is backed by years of proven experience rather than 100 different opinions.
I say that, and I talk to all these guys that are coming in, and I'm realizing that a lot of guys actually do understand that there's a lot of crap information online and on YouTube. They really are understanding. I'm actually amazed at how many guys come in and say, yeah, I watched so-and-so and this part and that part, and I don't think they know what they're talking about or what they're doing, or they seem shady. And I'm thinking, boy, if you only knew the truth, they are shady as crap, But there is some good information out there. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's so many that you can be anything you want on the internet, and a lot of people just choose to be liars.
Well, apparently, you can be anything you want to be in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that too.
I mean, just throwing it out there. So, We're hour and 15 in, and we're way off topic, but which is cool.
Kind of like
always happens.
tourism. You're saying,
But, hey, this whole thing started off with you can't be the cheapest and the best, and that is just the fact that I think we want to end up leaving it with is that you can't.
Look at this.
I landed probably the last 4 huge residential jobs and some small estimates today, only because of my reviews and talking about my property protection checklist. That is freaking awesome. Yeah.
And think about this. As I said early on in here, the consumer that we're dealing with now in 2022 is a lot better informed. They may not have an understanding of the knowledge, but they have more access to the knowledge. They have more access. They're a lot better informed than somebody 4 or 5 years ago was.
Or just like you are out there, they're also misinformed by what they read, because the same search that you're doing to find out what to do, they're doing to find out what to do, right? And if they're watching the wrong YouTube videos, if you have the right information that you can combat the bad information, you're going to win.
Yeah. That is true.
There you go.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for your time tonight. We sure appreciate it. And always proud to call you one of my friends. And don't get to...
Definitely.
Likewise, guys. Likewise, for sure.
Definitely appreciate y'all. What's that last comment before we go?
Charlie says, share much information anymore. Knowledge is valuable and shouldn't always just be given freely to people who don't deserve it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. That's,
True.
A whole lot.
All right, y'all.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all so much.
Peace out. We appreciate y'all.